All right, guys, welcome to our internal team training. We've been doing these team trainings every Tuesday for a while. And what we thought we'd do is we'd actually just go ahead and share them with everyone if they want to tune in. The first half of this will just typically do like a training on some topic, specifically for our dev agency. We have a small team of six that are working on building awesome apps using AI. We're using ShapeUp. We're using a number of different processes that we've kind of developed over the last 15 years. And so recently we've just been doing a lot of team training. And so we thought it'd be great to just share this. And if you're interested, you can reach out to us and connect. So we'll do that. We're going to be back every Tuesday, hopefully pretty consistently. And so today we want to jump in a topic. I've got the team is actually on here. I'm not going to make them come on the camera, but we may bring them on for some questions. And so uh, today we're just going to cover one really interesting topic, which um, is around creating a perfect week for your schedule. And so this is something, if you're familiar with Dan Martell, he's a awesome entrepreneur. He wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time. So this is something we took from his book, and we've implemented not just in our business, but in our between my wife Lindsay and I. We use this to manage our family, and it's just a way to put together a really simple plan for your perfect week. It's pretty self-explanatory. And the reality is that most of us have just end up playing defense with our calendars. So we're being pulled into Slack and email. And your time, if you're the founder, is like your time is like the most valuable piece. And if you're building a project, like each one of our team members are kind of leading their own project. So your time is like just a kind of a mission critical piece. It's not just like something we want to just let happen over the week. And there's a lot of great analogies, around time management. I think like when you think of it like a budget, right? If you were creating a budget for the month, like I've got this much money and I got to spend this. Like we're very careful about just spending money on random things, and so that you try to stick to that budget. So that doesn't just happen. Like you have to be intentional about it. And same thing with your calendar. If you just let the week happen, you're going to open your laptop on Monday morning, and you're going to have a bunch of emails. You're going to see Slack. You're going to pull into this, pull into that. You're going to get an email invite for this, and someone else is actually going to be taking over your entire calendar. So you have now like given the control over your calendar to just other people. So what this does is it essentially just puts you in sort of the driver's seat and lets you manage your week. And this is not something that you can say, well, if I'm on a team, this is maybe a little bit harder. If you kind of come if you're working with a remote team, this is a great way to kind of put together your specific perfect week plan, and then come back to the team and say, hey, this is my plan, and we can kind of look at kind of create some general team rules as well that will apply. So if we want to generally do meetings in the afternoons, if we want to do meetings earlier in the week, and then kind of leave the rest of the week to have no meetings, things like that, we can kind of put some general rules in place as a team, and then we're kind of like all kind of in sync. And so Lindsay and I have done this kind of even in our own family. And so what's interesting is when I put my plan together and she puts her plan together, then we can kind of look at that and say, hey, if we just move a few things around and arrange this a bit better, she can accomplish everything she needs to do. I can accomplish everything I do, and not just a to-do list. Like I think that's the key thing, is not just a to-do list of like, here's the work things I'm going to do this week. This is like you as a person, as an actual human. There's things you would say, like if you have a hobby, I'm currently trying to get my pilot's license. So if I get a chance to go fly or do something around aviation, that's an awesome week. If I get a lot of quality time with my kids, if I get time with my wife doing a date night, that's a great week. If I accomplish some really meaningful things in our business, that makes a great week. If we, whatever, do some live content like we're doing right now, this is something that I feel is like a really essential part of the week, is putting out training and putting out things even just internally to our team. And so you pick those things that are important to you, and then you kind of build that into your plan, a template for the week. And so uh, one thing that I would kind of think about as well, we're not going to dive into the whole topic of deep work, but essentially, I think of very simply like deep work is like deep sleep. If someone was coming every 15 to 30 minutes during the night and like shaking you and just being like, hey, I want to tell you something, and then you just like go back to sleep, and then 30 minutes later, someone shakes you and like, I want to tell you something. If you have young kids, you know exactly what this feels like because this happens. Um, and so, but if someone was doing that, you would wake up like feeling horrible the next morning. You would not feel like you got any kind of sleep. And that's exactly like how most of our days go. Like I said, we just wake up, we get reactive. We're just reacting to all the things that come in. And so when you start to stack things with kids and a spouse and other parts of your life, you kind of that margin goes away and away until you kind of just feel like you're totally not in control of any part of your week. And so essentially creating these uninterrupted blocks of time to get meaningful work done. And this requires you actually saying no to stuff. This requires you actually closing your email, closing Slack, like taking your phone, putting it in a different room, and setting up your notifications on your phone. So it just blocks absolutely everything, and just essentially taking a little bit more responsibility for it, but also just having just being intentional is the word. So um, the other thing we're trying to think through as well is as you're planning the week out, like you want to plan out where you're. It's really like energy management versus like time management because time management is hard. I think where you're like, hey, on at 2 p.m. I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to work on this task. That's maybe works for some people. What I generally like to do is have like blocks of time. So like generally I'm going to do team meetings on Monday afternoons. Then I'm going to do client meetings later in the afternoon on Mondays and Thursday afternoons. Those are my like client meeting afternoons. So when a client asks to schedule a meeting, it's not just, hey, when are you available? Like I'm available anytime. When are you available? And we kind of just go off the client schedule. You can say, hey, like I've got Monday afternoons here available, and I got Thursday afternoon. Like which one of those two do you want? And that way, people kind of just work within that those constraints. And so we're trying to think through like meetings obviously are kind of the fastest way to kill productivity. And so planning meetings to where like maybe they're at the end of the day, end of the week, maybe, or just some part where they're not in the middle of these like productivity blocks. And just figuring out where your energy is. Like if you do a couple back-to-back meetings, you can kind of get into a groove and it kind of like, cool, I'm in like meeting mode. But if you're like doing a meeting and then you're trying to do an hour of coding and then you're jumping back to like a meeting and then you're coming back, that context switching will drive you insane. Because you're not going to do either of those well. Honestly, you're not going to be great at the meeting. You not wouldn't have prepared and been in that groove of talking and being social. And then also when you switch back into context switching back into the code, it's just like you're just going to like take another 10-15 minutes to get back into the zone. Um, so creating these nice little blocks and being very protective of it, so that you know we aren't just like showing up to meetings that aren't doing anything specific, or if if that meeting's not really uh, the like essential for what's happening, we can kind of have feedback, and we do this a little bit in our team. Like if the meeting could have been an update email or a Loom video, we kind of want to do that instead of like pulling everybody into something that's live. So we typically only use meetings to get work done. So actually shaping something, we're either like working through a problem with a client, as far as like solving a technical problem. So that's typically why we actually do training. So what I did to help you guys out is kind of come up with like a little plan here. And we love Figjam in our team. I love Figjam, and so I made you guys a little template here, and I'll share the link in a second. I'm not going to drop it just yet, but we have this little process. It's a very simple piece here. So if you want to, just two steps. Essentially, just sit here and create as many blocks as you can. Like if I want to go like flying, I want to I put date night. I said workout. I said if we want to like have like kids time, if we want to have if you like to read. If you like to, whatever your hobbies are, whatever that thing is, if you want to go for a walk, whatever. Put all these things that kind of bring you energy throughout the week. And obviously, we have times for working. Like I want to, if you're developing, obviously you're going to have like some deep work sessions as this, and you're going to create a template. You're not going to specifically say I'm going to get this one project done here on this day, and you kind of put all these things together, and then you just drag them over here to step two, and you're just going to pull them in. And we're going to do this live with the team right after this. I wanted to talk it through with you guys. and then we're going to take a second to actually hopefully leave this call with you guys having this done. So let me lock that. And let's say like we're going to do this. So I typically have this, at the end of the week. So it can just block this time out. Let's say it's like 5 to so the afternoon, basically. I also mine looks like this, where I have client meetings, and so and I want to go from five. I hard stop for me at 5. So all my that's why I kind of have these morning time. There's a sort of afternoon block and evening. If you want to incorporate things like a date night or whatever, you can pull that in. We do like Monday evenings right here. Typically happens like this now. Um, and that's just something we just planned with, like, hey, we want to make this a priority. We put that in the template, and now we know that that's gonna happen. We also have like sorry, family time. So we may say like we've got kind of from if you guys are parents, like 5 to 8, 5 to 7 is like I just call it family, because pretty much that just runs every single week, every single night. It doesn't even matter, which day of the week. It's pretty much consistent with the weekends as well. We're finishing work, whatever. We're getting kids ready for bed, doing dinner. It's a whole thing. They get to bed, and then you kind of have like this next batch of time. So it's just like worth taking a second and drawing these things out just to think about it for a second. Very rarely people take the time to actually figure this stuff out and just put it on paper. And so I have something that looks kind of like this. So I have client meetings in the afternoon. And then I may have, for me, like I have to do some strategy kind of for the whole business as like the founder. A lot of what things I'm thinking about and stuff dictate like what the rest of the team is working on. So I just have this thing. I don't know what happens here other than I'm just doing some strategy time. And I leave some spaces like this. Obviously, you need to eat lunch. There's like stuff you have to have. So don't try to like schedule every minute, but you can see kind of how loosely I'm planning it. We do team training, and we do this like from to 11. And I can't. We don't just show up. Like I need an hour before this. I prep this. So from like let's go from 9 to 11 like this. There's basically 2 hours does team training, and then we do some other like coaching things. So like I'm kind of in the mode for coaching on Tuesdays. Um, and so I just kind of scheduled this out. Now you may not have as many different things like this um, as I do, but as you start to put these things down, the main thing that you're going to figure out, which is always a shock, is how much space there is. Like if you're like wanting to learn a new hobby, you want to like go through a course, you're doing some training or whatever. Um, there's so much space here to where like I have like 3 hours every single night here that's kind of unaccounted for. I don't think you have to like schedule everything. And honestly, if you just want to have downtime with your spouse, or we're just watching TV, or that's fine. I'm not saying you have to be in like high productivity mode from like 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. Um, put that in there. Just know like, hey, this is just I'm deliberately going to be in rest mode, which means I'm also not on Slack. I'm also not like sort of tuning into work stuff. I'm just dedicated and like totally present and being there with like family. And so that's like how I would schedule this. And the other thing you can do if you have a spouse, have them go through this as well. And then kind of compare and look at this. So we have kind of a complex thing that happens here. So I recently we changed this because uh, uh, I've been working out for a while, but now Lindsay. So I have like basically Bruce workout here, and then Lindsay happens like right after, and so we basically have to there's a little bit of coordination now that we got kids. So we basically flip. So I go to the gym, I come back, Lindsay goes to the gym, we come back, and then I can kind of start my week. So um, if someone asked me, like recently, we had someone who's like, "Oh, can you meet 9 a.m. Monday?" No, like I'm good. I'm starting work at 10:30. Like, oh wow, that sounds really late. Yeah, I've been up since like 5. So that's how we like scheduled everything in. And we kind of, you kind of this is also time for Bruce to be with our girls, our two kids. So like it's not like I'm that's one of my things that I actually wanted. It was like I get 2 hours of like uninterrupted time just to play with the kids, like at the beginning of the day before anything is like hit, and also the beginning of the week, which is great. And then it kind of builds itself out pretty quickly because we do this every like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so if I schedule this, like I'm getting 6 hours before I start my day, hanging out with my kids, and then I'm going into like my work schedule. So, um, and I'm not like because I planned it. I put the biggest rocks first, the most important things to me first. The workout number one, like your health stuff. Obviously, I'm not going to preach on that, but like that should be your number one, and then like family next, and then spouse, right? It's kind of all these key things. Um, so we just make it work with what happens, like with where we are, and when every couple months we kind of look at this again and figure out, especially if we start to feel off, if it feels like I'm not getting enough time with kids, like we kind of look back at the schedule and we're like, oh, that's because recently, like I would kind of start to respond to some Slack stuff, like in between these things before I was watching the girls or stuff was happening, and so my mind would be like pulled out, and I don't feel like I don't feel like I really got the chance to work, and I didn't feel like I really connected with the girls. So like I'm losing on two fronts. Trying to be in quote like multitasking, right? That's the dumbest solution to try to do time management and be productive. So single task, super focused, and then kind of block this out. So one thing, my favorite day here is on Wednesday because we do so like I've got a pair dev session here with some of our team. We just spend 2 hours on a live call programming, and then I have this whole thing mocked out for dev here. So we do pair dev as a team for 2 hours. I think my sizing of my boxes are going a little weird here, and then I got like the whole afternoon to just do my own coding. So what's great about this, I don't have any meetings on Wednesdays, which kind of frees me up to just focus on building stuff, which is my one of my favorite things to do. If I go a whole week and I'm not like doing a little bit of coding and a little bit of building, I'm like, what is this like all for? Like I I don't want to sit in client meetings and talk about it. Like I want to also go build some stuff. So schedule that in. And I didn't put like a dev thing next to a meeting block. Like I have 2 days where I have to be present and on Zoom and back to back calls. And then, I know with the energy of the week, Fridays, like things are pretty much dying down, and we're kind of getting ready. Things are getting pushed to the following week for work. So it's not like we have some major deadlines typically on a Friday. Most of this the first part of our week is like very intentional, and then Thursdays, Fridays are pretty loose, and I can kind of adjust how I need to. Um, and so a couple rules on this, like you're going to do the first draft and you're probably going to hit like 30% of this the first week. Okay. So just try it once, see how it goes. And then you're going to just pivot. It's going to take you a couple weeks of tweaking and getting feedback, and trying different things. This is great because I love Figjam just to get the idea down on paper. The other thing that you can do, and I'll see if I can pull this up for you guys live, is I actually built it out in Google Calendar. So, and this is not going to look at all as clean as what I just showed you, but um, what we have here is I built a calendar called Bruce's Perfect Week, and so I can turn that on and kind of see what things are what I'm planning. There's my coding, there's the gym stuff. I've kind of got these things blocked out, um, and there's a few things overlapping which should not be doing that, but uh, I can then toggle on my actual calendar next to it, and kind of turn it on and off as needed. So that's a great way to kind of map this out and then actually have it in your calendar, and that way if you have it on your phone, it's like alerting you like, hey, focused work is starting, hey, family time starting, and being really specific with that time. And once you kind of like put that much time into planning the budget, you start to trust it, and then you like from that point you like have confidence. So like I know like, hey, if I it's 5 o'clock and I've been on calls with clients and it's five and we're coming up to 5 o'clock. I was like, hey, I have a hard stop at 5 because I got two girls that are like waiting all day to go hang out with me. And so I can't go over that 5 because if I start going to 5:05, 5:15, 5:30, which is so easy to do because there's always an infinite amount of work to do. Then I get to the end of the week and I'm like, man, I just felt like all I did is work, or I didn't feel like I get enough time. So if I kind of trust the budget of like, okay, I planned this when I had a clear head, and I mapped it out the way I thought it needed to go. I'm just gonna like in the moment, I'm just gonna trust the system and go with it for now. So try that. I'll share the Figma link here, and we'll put it in the description as well if you guys want to check it out. Then I would prefer you guys to do it kind of in FigJam first because it kind of frees you up from all the stuff of like having a repeating event and then getting it to sync and all the stuff just gets away from the tech a little bit and just gets you to kind of put your ideas down on paper. If you want to take a few minutes after that and recreate it in the calendar, that's how I would suggest that. So let me check my notes real quick here, make sure I didn't tackle anything here. Um, and Yeah, this is good. I think it just generally we're gonna put it in um, offensive mode, not defense. This is true of like everything. If you're gonna be intentional, you start like figuring out when you want to do these different tasks and then having good feedback of like, man, I got to the end of this day and it just felt too much. There's too many meetings today, or there's too many this today. Kind of know what that is. And I'll pull in like one more random analogy, but when you're flying, we have a thing called your personal minimum. So like if I want to go flying, I only have about 100 hours of flight time, which is very little. And I know like I could handle a 10-mile like 10 knot like crosswind when we're landing. If it's 15, if it's 20 knots, it's like gets too hard, and I would not want to be landing in that. And not for where I am right now. It's not a good fit. If I know like anyway, you put these different things, and I have like my Aura ring, so I have a sleep score. My sleep score is not above 70. I'm not going flying that day. Like it's just a safety mech thing. If I did not get a good night's sleep, like not risking it. So you put these little plate things in place and you get to like kind of tune your body and your mind and your heart as far as like how the week is going. And so I know like as well if I had a really intense Tuesday, sometimes a lot of these like sometimes we end up with other calls and stuff doesn't go to a schedule. Things get pulled in, stuff happens. And so I can get to a really crazy Tuesday. And then I like Wednesday's just like that reprieve to like kind of get more into a restorative mode. And for me, what restores me is like just sitting and coding and building stuff. That's super fun and kind of hanging out with the team and doing like pair programming and stuff. So that's really fun for me. And it actually, and you kind of look at like what someone else I heard someone say like what's like giving you energy and what's like sucking energy. Sometimes we can get on a meeting and be like being super creative and we're shaping stuff and we're breadboarding and that actually like I leave that meeting I'm like this is awesome, this is so exciting, I love my job. I'm gonna be on other meetings which are not exciting at all, and leave that meeting I'm like I never want to do it. Like sales calls, for example, like getting on new people who just want to work with us or kind of learning more about our business. I absolutely hate that. So we hired like a salesperson to do those calls, and it was the best thing ever. Because it would just like suck the life out of me, and I'm like, all I want to go do is build the thing, and these people just want to like talk about it and ask me questions. So just figure out what's best for you. It's going to be different for everybody, and that's everything we want to do. So we're going to jump into like just a team time. I'm going to end the stream here, and then also mention if you guys are interested in connecting with us, I'm going to drop a link in the description. We are always looking for new team members and new developers, so there's a link to apply there. But thanks for hanging out, and we'll be posting more content like this